of mine, and she said, turn on your television. And I said, why? Because I very rarely watch TV. And she said, there's been an attack downtown Manhattan. So I said, oh yeah. She said, no, turn the TV on. So I turned the television on in time to see one of the repeated images of a plane flying into one of the towers, a kind of cut with fire spewing out into the sky. Now, when I was 7 years old, I had a repeated nightmare. And it was of a burning tower on top of a mountain. And I was in the tower, which was cut in half, and there was like a Wizard of Oz witch chasing me with a burning broom down the steps of the tower, down the mountain, and I would race as fast as I could until I would force myself out of sleep and wake up. My pillow was hot, so I turned the pillow over to the cool side, and I had a kind of mantra that I would repeat. Trees and flowers, trees and flowers, trees and flowers. And then I would suddenly see a thin, treed forest with a bear on a unicycle who was bicycling through the trees, and as soon as I saw the bear, I would be safe and go to sleep. The images in front of me, however, were a kind of repetitive pattern of the same picture over and over again, of one plane flying into a tower, flames spewing out until a second plane hit. And as soon as that happened, I looked out my window. I live on 12th Street and Broadway. And I thought to myself I should go out, but then I worried. Maybe there would be another attack closer to the house should I actually go out. I couldn't see anything of the towers, but what I saw on the street was a continuous, slow, silent procession of people covered with dust walking uptown. I went back to the television. And then, suddenly, there was a bell ringing downstairs. I answered the bell, and up came my nephew, David. He was staring right at me, but his eyes wide, unfocused. And behind him were 4 people who I assumed were his friends. 2 women, 2 men. He, by the way, was in a white jacket that was covered with debris. He came into the house, and I, like a kind of strange, silent dance, just started making coffee, offering bagels. And he asked for towels, and one at a time, each of the 4 people who turned out to be strangers, whose names I never heard, each went into my bathroom, took a shower, came out wrapped in towels, ate something, got dressed in my kitchen, and left to walk uptown or wherever it is that they lived. And David, all the while, quickly, sort of in a strange, high-pitched panic, kept describing people falling out of buildings, and I realized those were the dark flecks that I saw that seemed to be pieces of the building or paper falling. But they were people falling to their death or jumping to their death. Then I thought of my cousin Sarah and her husband who worked in the towers, so I called up, and her voice was a sort of combination of absolute glee and grief. Because her husband, who was a workaholic and an obsessive person who went early to everything, even family dinners and bar mitzvahs that we all hated. He had overslept for the second time in his life and hadn't gone to work. So I asked what was the first time. And Sarah explained that when he was 3 years old, a child in Auschwitz, walking behind a group of people on the way to the crematorium, he suddenly was overtaken by exhaustion, crawled under garbage, and slept avoiding being burned in the incinerator. And I relaxed. I believe in karma and small miracles in the middle of disasters. Then David called to me. I went to the TV just in time to see a building implode, falling to dust, like a weird science experiment. And for the first time, and the only time, for about 10 days, I cried.